All right, hello everybody. This is Nicole Whitlock with eCom Sellers. I'm just going to double check to make sure I'm live in the Facebook group. Sometimes I can't tell. So let's go look. Just checking. 2 seconds. Hold on. My phone is moving slow. Oh, yep, I'm there. There we go. That was me. All right. All right. So a little bit about me. I've been selling since 2014. I've been selling offline since 2008. I am a serial entrepreneur, a single mom of two special needs kiddos who are actually young men at this point. I'm a vice president of a nonprofit, and we're about to be very busy. And I got into e-commerce looking for a solution for my kiddos' therapies. I'm also the creator and the co-founder of all things e-com sellers related. So today we're going to be talking about liquidations, and I think that for those of you that are looking for inventory, you need to find some inventory. You need to find some inventory at affordable pricing. This year, 2022, this is a great time to grab some inventory potentially from liquidations. Now, if you didn't participate in the eCom Q4 Summit, I would encourage you, if you do have it, go back and listen to the segment that Jeff Schick, the attorney, the e-commerce attorney, talked about regarding buying liquidations. You have to understand that to some extent there is some limited risk, but there's a lot of people who sell a lot of liquidations and don't run into challenges. So definitely go back and listen to that session. It was in the eCom Q4 Summit for 2022, and we had probably maybe about a 3 to 5 minute conversation about liquidations. So with that being said, the difference between liquidations and overstock and closeout inventory, there are some differences. So liquidation specialists. Now, let me just say this also. Sorry, I meant to say this at the beginning. For the last 6 weeks, I feel like maybe 8, I have been talking about nonstop what's happening with Bed Bath and Beyond. Sorry, yeah, Bed Bath and Beyond, Kohl's, Target, J.C. Penney's. All of them have decided that they're not going to receive all the inventory that they previously ordered. So that means that inventory, those products have been created by the manufacturers, received by the distributors, and sent to the companies. But those companies are not going to accept all of the inventory that was produced for them. So let's say they ask for 10,000 of something. Got to make it up. Let's just say pillows. So of those 10,000 pillows, maybe Target says, we don't want all 10,000. We just want 5,000. That means the other 5,000 has got to go somewhere. And it can't just be tossed or thrown away. It's going to go out there into space because the distributor, the manufacturer's already created it. They need their money. The distributors already distributed it or was planning on distributing so they can get paid. They need their money. So since at this point it becomes a money collection situation, the products are marked down deeply, and normally the liquidators swoop in and grab that excess inventory. So what I'm saying is there's a lot of excess inventory out there in the universe, in the space. It's not just a US problem. There's some excess inventory in other countries as well. And so liquidators are able to buy inventory at some ridiculous prices at this point. If you think of it indirectly, like the housing bubble that happened, I feel like it was 2012 or 10, one of those, where people were able to buy houses for dirt cheap. Well, that's what's happening with inventory right now. Liquidators who have the cash and have the capital are able to grab the inventory that has been created but has no buyers. They've been able to grab that for deep discounts. So that means that you, as an e-commerce seller, could get brand new inventory for ridiculous prices. So again, if you're struggling to find inventory, this may be the video for you. If you're not struggling to find inventory, then you're probably fine. But I do encourage you, before you go and buy liquidated inventory, that you go watch that segment. It's probably about 3 to 5 minutes long inside the eCom Q4 Summit, and it is from the 2022 eCom Q4 Summit. All right, so we're going to move on. So liquidation specialists, they work with retailers. And again, the retailers are like, we're not receiving this inventory. And they provide them with a space for unwanted customer returns, overstock inventory, closeout inventory, live auctions, offers, fixed amount inventory. So this would be considered overstock inventory. It may even be pushed into the closeout place because it's being rejected. And it was created brand new, packaging is perfect, everything. So customers return inventory, as we already know, as of earlier this year. Again, something I talked about over the last 6 to 8 weeks. There's a lot of retailers that are like, look, we don't want your returns. Just keep it, which is going to be really interesting. I don't know what this Q4 is going to hold for that. But typically when a customer returns it, it goes to a liquidator, and the liquidator will put it onto a pallet and let people who want to buy pallets snatch it up. Okay. Some of the inventory is just unwanted. Some of it is in pristine condition, and some of them may have some issues, and some of them have no issues at all. Let me just tell you, Walmart is the worst because you could go buy something in Walmart, and then if you returned it, let's say I bought a curtain rod, but it was the wrong, I wanted pewter, and I ended up getting nickel. That's the colors, sorry. And so I wanted nickel. One pewter, and I ended up getting nickel. So I'm going to return the nickel colored curtain rod and replace it with a pewter one. Well, Walmart's not going to put that curtain rod back on the shelf. They're actually going to put it in the returns. There's nothing wrong with it. I didn't even open the box. And so that ends up going to a liquidator. Walmart returns go to a liquidator. A lot of them in brand new condition. The other thing is overstock inventory. Again, that's the thing that we're talking about right now, where we have a bunch of surplus inventory out there in the universe. And so that inventory is going to be available at the liquidators. And then closeouts are usually products that big name retailers are like not making anymore. They're at capacity. They don't need anymore. They've been restructured. So when you think about stores that are going through a massive restructuring, that's your Kohl's is going through a massive restructuring. Bed Bath & Beyond is going through a massive restructuring. JCPenney's a few years ago went through a massive restructuring. Before Toys R Us closed, they went through a massive restructuring. So a lot of that inventory or inventory they're not making anymore is going to be considered closeout. Okay. So retailers can use liquidators to sell unwanted inventory, overstock inventory, returns, all of that stuff. So what does that mean to you? Well, you can buy the inventory wholesale. You can buy it for less than wholesale. Pennies on the dollar. With research, you can find trusted, reliable sources for your inventory. We're going to talk about a couple of those. You can buy in bulk so you can scale your business quickly if you have the capital. So you, again, want to know the source for some of this stuff. It's cheaper than buying it directly from the manufacturer because, again, it's cumbersome. But and less cumbersome than white labeling products. So again, if you can sell it. And then when you use an online auction, you're competitively bidding, and you'll pay for the items that you want. So things to consider when you're doing liquidations, in addition to watching that 2 to 3 minute video. Or sorry, it's not the entire video is not. The entire video is like an hour and 10 minutes, but there was like a segment of about 3 to 5 minutes where we talked about liquidation purchases. So I just want you to know that, so that if you're going to sell on some of the well-known platforms, some things you need to keep in mind. That's all. So if you have access to a spare room, if you don't have space to put this inventory, then you want to determine what size and what quantity of inventory you want. So buying larger quantities can reduce the shipping costs per item. Yes. If you're lucky enough to get a whole pallet of, I don't know, what's in demand. I'm trying to think of what's in the major that's in demand. So we're going into the cooking holidays. Maybe some cupcake tins or some, I don't know, the little, like the cupcake holders, the round ones, not the big giant tin. Um, that's small. That is really cheap on shipping. Like maybe you can get the silicone ones, just going with the flow. And so being able to buy that in large quantities, like you could sell that for like a couple of years because people will buy those. And you buy them in large quantity if you can get them. And maybe it was because Bed Bath and Beyond is like rejected that inventory. So that's just an example of that. If you know the product really well, you have it to your advantage. If you know that product really really well, so it's something maybe you were previously selling it or you sold it in the past, and you know that it sells really easy, then it'll make it easier for you to get rid of that inventory or to find the inventory specifically that you're looking for. So maybe you've been in this space. Maybe you have a private label product that is, similar to the one that you sell. Maybe it's a competitor's product that's going out. Maybe it was available in stores. And so you can grab that while simultaneously selling your product. Because again, if you know about the product, that's a good thing for you. You can use the internet to sell locally, of course. So if you do that, buyers can come to you and reduce the shipping costs. Now, here's the deal. If you're going to sell locally, we know the Facebook Marketplace you can ship. OfferUp is typically a pickup. Craigslist is old school Craigslist. Believe it or not, people are still listing stuff on Craigslist and buying stuff. But the one that I think next door is one that you can consider. That's a local pickup. That way you don't have the shipping. And some people do the whole porch pickup thing, Facebook garage sale groups, of course. So if you don't want to have any interaction with them, you do have the opportunity to ship if you go with Macari and Poshmark as well. So all of those things, or you can sell it on your own website. There are people that will buy pallets and pallets and pallets of inventory from liquidators and create their own website to put that on, whether it be a WordPress website, whether it be Weebly, Wix, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, Shopify. Like you can create your own storefront to sell all the stuff. If you niche down, then you can target. Let's say you do have a niche or you're aware of a niche. If you niche down on the products that you source, then you may have a better chance. But sometimes you have what I refer to as the surprise palettes. Like they say that these are some of the things that are in there, but there might be some extra in there as well. And so it may not be a specific type of palette. It may be like a hodgepodge. So that kind of stuff, you got to figure out where you're going to sell that other extra stuff that's not related to your niche. Shipping costs can make or break your business. Or learning ways that you can minimize inbound and outbound shipping costs. That is extremely important. Shipping is a problem. I mean, it's not a problem. Well, I guess it is. Shipping is a concern, a thing that you need to be aware of, you need to be conscious of, you need to pay attention to. Shipping is always something you should be paying attention to. Find liquidators that will ship from warehouses located close to you. Yes. If you can find a liquidator that is near you, that you can drive up to, you can see the pallet. They may not let you break it down or anything like that, because more than likely they're not. They're probably saran wrapped all the way around. And so they're probably not going to let you break it down. But at least they see your face versus just shipping to a nameless person out in the middle of nowhere. Sometimes that can make all the difference in the world. Plus, you can get a feel for what this operation is doing. If it's a fly by night, it looks like they just opened on Tuesday and they're going to be closed by Thursday. You want to be aware of that kind of stuff. And you could negotiate a lower price because you went to go pick it up, because you picked it up. So if you got a truck, you got access to a truck, you can always potentially get a lower price. Figure out what to buy, where to buy it from, and where to sell it. So that's going to be a thing that you have to figure out when it comes to liquidations, because you may have a variety of different things, as I said before. So you got to be patient and flexible and be willing to learn. So anything that you acquire, like there might be on that pallet. What I love about liquidation pallets is, let's say you acquire a pallet of inventory for like $350. So you get the entire pallet. There's a few items that are on there that you literally make back your entire $350 by selling like 10 things in the pallet, and maybe there's 50 things in the pallet. So everything above that 10 is all gravy. Like the remaining 40, however long it takes, unless you're paying for storage space, however long it takes is just gravy, because you made back your money just by selling the 10 items that were in the pallet of 50 items. So That's what I sort of like about it. It is like a surprise bag grab bag of things. And sometimes it is more specific in detail. Not always, but sometimes. Okay. So the types of items you might get new. These are items that are still in their original packaging, as I described before. Like I return a curtain rod to Walmart, still in pristine condition. Okay, it's not even open; it's still in the packaging. That might be something you get. Like new, it's been open. So in this example, I open part of the packaging for the curtain rod, but I didn't use it and I didn't take it fully out of the packaging. Like they just taped it up and put it into the returns bin, and it's still like new, like in good condition. Or maybe the box is dented, something like that. Refurbished. I personally try to stay away from refurbished anything. I have been so misfortunate to have purchased a refurbished laptop before. I would never do that again. But, refurbished is refurbished. So if you want to take on that risk of selling refurbished stuff, go right ahead. Doesn't matter. You decide. Returns, we talked about that. I mean, like, that's pretty much what you're getting sometimes. So the new, I guess, in this example, would not be new or like new. It would be considered the returns. But your new stuff is going to be the inventory that Target and like Kohl's and JCPenney said, hey, we know that we ordered 10,000 of this thing, but we don't need them. So we just need 5,000 and we're just going to pay you for 5,000. You need to figure out what you're going to do with the other 5,000. So then the distributor and the manufacturer are like pissed because somebody's got to get paid. So that's your new and your like new. Then pulls from the shelf. So if they have, Walmart does this all the time. Like if you've never watched that special on Walmart on CNN or maybe it was NPR, I can't remember what channel it was. It was public access. Anyway, there was a special on Walmart once, and they talked about how Walmart. We'll use the example of pillows, where they will have a deal with a pillow manufacturer, and they'll say we want 10,000 pillows, and then they will say we'll buy them for this price. I don't know what the price is. Let's just say $1 for grins and giggles. So they spend $10,000 on ordering pillows, and this manufacturer is going out there busting their butt making all these pillows for Walmart. And then Walmart, another pillow seller comes in and says, we'll do it for 75 cents. Well, the guy or the girl, the business that just took the deal, ordered 10,000, they've been manufacturing like crazy, and maybe some of them made it to like, I don't know, 200 stores. Well, now they've got to deal with this other pillow manufacturer, and they're like, we're going to have to pull that other one because we got a better deal, and our margins are going to be better for this other 75 center. So Walmart will go through and pull all of the pillows off the shelf of those 200 stores and give it to a liquidator and say, figure out what you want to do with it because we're not using it anymore. We've got a different pillow partnership. That's what Walmart does. And so the guy that's in the middle of this, or business that's in the middle of this, they've been burned because they had projections of, they ramped up staff, they ramped up production, they ramped up space, all of this stuff. And they've now been screwed because their business has come to a complete screeching halt because Walmart decided they got a better deal from somebody else. But Walmart doesn't tell them in advance. So that's an example of that whole, they'll go and pull stuff off the shelf. The other stuff is, if something happens, like somebody was hurt, most of the time they'll destroy that inventory. Like something that's a lawsuit, they'll destroy that. And you shouldn't be out there in the universe. So you do have to pay attention to that kind of stuff. Recalls, problematic inventory before you acquire it. So make sure you do some Google searches. If you're going to a liquidator, and if the manifest tells you what some of the stuff is, look up some of that stuff and see if there's any recalls, because you don't want to buy a pallet that has some recalls on it. Scratched and dent, again, package is partially dented, but it's still in the packaging brand new. I just recently sold a Finding Nemo. You put it in the water and he swims or whatever. And I got it. Like they used to sell them years ago at Five Below. And so the packaging on that particular Finding Nemo that you just put in water and he moves on his own was just jacked up. But we when we listed it on eBay. We told the buyer that the packaging was scratched up, or it was brand new, still in the packaging, but the outside packaging was kind of torn. So that's the kind of stuff you want to pay attention to. Or if we go back to the curtain rod analogy, let's say that there's a dent in one side, a small dent, just a small one on one side of the curtain rod. Again, that kind of stuff you want to be mindful of. And if you decide to sell that type of inventory, make sure you indicate that in the listing, because there's nothing like someone saying, item is not as sold. You don't want that situation. Salvage, suitable for parts. So it is something that's been broken down. You can sell, just like cars, when people will buy a car that's been salvaged by the insurance companies. So my mom, an example of that is my mom was stranded on the highway about 4 weeks ago, somewhere off in there. Everything is just a blur at this point. And her car broke down, and we had to drive from Texas to go get her in Oklahoma, and then get her car towed to somewhere in Oklahoma, and then drive back to Texas because she was visiting. And so on the way back, we had to drive her all the way back to Kansas. And on the way back to Kansas, we had to clean out her car because the insurance company salvaged the car. They totaled the car. So that meant that car, like when you drive up on it, the outside of it is in perfect condition. Everything about it is in perfect condition. Even several of the engine parts, the tires, everything is in perfect condition. Somebody's going to break down that car that she had a Ford Explorer truck. They're going to break it down for parts. They're going to sell the door. They're going to sell the windshield. They're going to sell the rear view mirror. They're going to sell the door handle. They're going to sell the tires. They're going to all of it. They're going to break the car down into pieces. So that is exactly. There are times where there's inventory that you purchase and it is broken. It is like not working, but that doesn't mean you can't sell it. So you can sell it for parts. There are people, if you got, let's say you buy electronics, somebody wants that screen, and so they will buy the screen standalone by itself. Someone wants, that touchpad, and so they will buy the touchpad standalone. So again, think about the things electronically that you can sell that can be sold for parts, or other things that you can be sold for parts. So I remember once there was a toolbox that, I don't remember how many pieces. Let's just say they had 108 pieces. And because it was opened and the outside of the box was dented, and like the hinge didn't close all the way, so it couldn't close and snap. But all the tools of the 108 tools, let's say 106 were there. So 2 pieces missing. The 106 were in there out of the 108, and the toolbox clamp wouldn't close. Somebody's still going to buy that. That's still good. A mechanic, shade tree mechanic, or someone that works on stuff, like they're going to be like, look, this is a good deal. They got a steal. So there are people that still want that. And then of course used, unfortunately, there's a lot of flooding that's happening in different places in the US and around the world. So products that have been in water damaged areas, you need to ask that question. Sometimes the liquidators know that stuff and sometimes they don't. So you just need to be prepared to ask those types of questions. All right. I want to encourage you to go back and listen to this again. I'm sorry. Sometimes I ramble because I always got stories, examples. But anyway. So how to buy and sell. So if you're going to buy, you're going to do the research about the liquidator. What are they? What do resellers say? Are there any unboxing videos on YouTube? Find a pallet or a case that you're interested in. Research the contents. Typically, there's a manifest that goes with it. I remember me and my business partner, we went to a local liquidation place here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And, just walking in there, and then, we can see the outside of the manifest and the contents, and talking through, okay, how many extra pieces are in here that are not indicated on the manifest? Because what they do is, I believe it or not, liquidation pallets are sold from liquidator to liquidator to liquidator. So the first liquidator that gets it, because they're getting it directly from the manufacturer or maybe directly from the distributor, they got it at the lowest price. And so they will take, maybe they've got, a couple of shipping containers worth of good stuff. And they will take it, and they will take those shipping containers, and they will sell them to other liquidators. They'll get their money out of it and let the other liquidators break down the pallets or group stuff, how they want to group stuff, that kind of thing. And so your liquidation pallet or your liquidated inventory could have passed through 2 or 3 liquidators before it made it to you, believe it or not. That means the price was varied over time. Okay. Um, so you can, maybe test out one of these liquidators, maybe buy a small pallet and then decide I'm going to go and I'm going to buy more from them after you've had a decent track record with them. Again, being able to roll up on them, drive up on them is always a good thing. If you got a truck, that's even better because then you have more negotiating power. But keep in mind that your pallet may have gone through a few different liquidators, or the inventory itself may have been broken down and repackaged. And that's why the manifest is not always exact. Okay. So at that point, if you buy it, verify the contents and then list your inventory wherever you're going to sell it. Decide where you're going to sell it. If you're going to sell inventory, you have the Amazon's liquidation program where you can sell your inventory. They will, remove it and then you'll get the difference after X number of fees. Or you can sell it in bulk on eBay. You can also sell it in bulk on Amazon now. And you can sell it on other liquidator sites if you choose to. You can also sell in Mercari, 5 Mile, OfferUp. You can sell it at flea markets, which is always a great opportunity. If you have any local flea markets or swap meets, you can take the stuff that you purchased and take it out there. If there's anything that has to be plugged up, you got to be prepared for that kind of stuff if you're going to do the flea market kind of swap meet kind of situation. So bring your own plug thing or your own charger thing that you can plug into. The other thing, like you can buy those batteries, those big giant batteries that have multiple plugs all the way around it. That way you can use that. And that way you can plug stuff up if somebody buys something from you at the swap meet or at the flea market. You want to make sure it works. Like you don't want any problems. You don't need somebody coming back to your booth talking crazy. Nobody got time for that, especially these days. Nobody has any patience. So, test it out. Make sure that the inventory is working to the best of your ability. If it's still brand new in the box and they buy it, like, look, you buy it right now, I'll open this box and then you can test it. And then if it works, you walk off with it. If it doesn't work, I'll give you your money back right now. So then that way you don't have to deal with any kind of, crazy conversations on the side. And you can also sell mystery boxes. Like people will buy big pallets. And then because again, the manifest is not always exact. And I explained before why it's not always exact. Then you can sell mystery boxes. People have been doing that on YouTube as well. They've been doing pallet hauls on YouTube and all kinds of stuff. So you can break it down any way you want to. There's going to be a lot of inventory on that pallet if you buy a pallet. If you buy a couple pallets, or you can buy a container and get that inventory. I know like Barbara Draska, I think like 2 months ago, maybe she bought like a container or maybe 2 containers. So again, having an idea, which it's always an exact science, but having an idea of what the inventory might be. It's not always an exact science, guys. Because sometimes you get some random stuff like, what am I supposed to do with this? I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. So where to find liquidators? Well, of course, you can do a Google search for local liquidation or local liquidation pallets. If you live not in a rural area, then you probably want to find somebody, that's within driving distance. So if you're willing to drive, 50 miles or 100 miles, do that. Let them know you're coming, find out what their hours are, that kind of stuff. Maybe do a couple walkthroughs, that kind of stuff. See if it works out. If not, then be prepared to pay that shipping cost. More than likely, it's going to be DHL dropping it off if it's a pallet. Okay. So be prepared. Sometimes it's hit or miss. So some sites to check out: Bstock, BULK, bulk, liquidation, wholesale ninja, liquidation, direct liquidation, and Amazon and eBay. So let me just escape for just a sec. Oh, wait a minute. Before we do that, so some things to keep in mind: research the suppliers, find a supplier that you like, you trust, and test them. You can test out. Get a small pallet. Don't get a big one. Tell me you want to buy a couple things. You want to buy half of a pallet. Maybe go in with a business partner and say, I'll take half, you take it. Now, don't get mad if they got like the better value if you split it in half. Just don't get mad. Don't get ugly. You probably need to get an EIN because a lot of these liquidators are looking for established businesses. So you're not going to be able to, in most cases, buy a liquidation pallet using your social security number like you do on Amazon. Like they want an established business because they've got some reporting to do themselves. So you need to or should get a reseller certificate or a vendor's license. Um, it can be referenced differently in different states. Reseller certificate, sales tax free, sales tax certificate exempt certificate, all that stuff. You will either buy or bid or make offers on pallets or cases. Again, you could buy cases instead of a pallet, which is, I forgot, I couldn't think of the word. Depends on where. And then when using liquidators online, you'll need to pay the shipping and transportation, which is what I just talked about. So that's going to include freight. You need to be prepared for that. The ROI on your pallet may vary. Sometimes the ROI is fantastic, and sometimes it's a bust. I don't want you to be mad. I don't want you to be frustrated. Just know that the ROI can vary. So if they say, well, the estimated value of everything in this pallet is $1,000, you buy it for $350, and then it turns out being, I couldn't get more than 200 off of this pallet, then it's like, okay, lesson learned. Or it could have just been that everybody along the chain just kind of got that pallet wrong, or that case, or whatever it happens to be. And then depending on the site or source, a manifest may or may not exist. The contents of it may vary, blah, blah, blah. So we talked about that. So how to get the money for this? I will tell you that again, right now, liquidations, you can probably get some really good deals because there's just a lot. Okay, Nicholas. So there's a lot of inventory out there in the universe. And I've talked about why. I'm sure you guys are like, you talk about it all the time. Please stop talking about it. Look, I'm just saying. Save and reinvest, so you can reinvest money and as you are making it in your business. So take that money and reinvest it. You can get an SBA loan. There's a lot of money out there in the SBA space right now. Banks, credit unions, PayPal, working capital. Like PayPal is like giving out business accounts right now and or business credit cards. Stripe, they have a loan program. American Express, Visa, MasterCard, business loans. You can go check those out. Getting a business credit card, microloans. If you can find those, do that, or crowdfunding. You can set up something on some of the crowdfunding sites if you want to buy some liquidation pallets. You can go look for grants. There's a lot of grants out there. And then family and friends and how to get funding. All right. So let's go look at some of these sites, shall we? So the first one is, I talked about the Amazon, FBA liquidations. And if you want them to remove your inventory from the warehouse and liquidate it for you, all you have to do is just do the search. I didn't log into my account, but it's in the back of Seller Central. You can go and do a search. So if you have an Amazon account, great. If you don't, you can just do a Google search. It's available, or this article is available externally. They walk you through how it works and what's going to happen. They also walk you through, the fees that are associated with it, and what you will potentially, get paid. So they're giving you some estimates of what it will be if you want them to dispose of it, or if they sell it on liquidation. Just know you won't get as much money. For me, I feel like it's sort of like, what was the program that eBay had, like, I don't know, 7 years ago, where you could go to an eBay store, local one, and they would say, we're going to list it for whatever the product is. We're going to list it for this price. And then, they end up lowballing you. eBay used to have this whole bid kind of, not necessarily liquidation, but sort of like liquidation, where if you had inventory and you didn't want to list it, you could send it over to them and they would list it. And then you would get the difference of whatever they sold it for minus the fees. And most of the time they would sell it for dirt cheap, so you didn't get a lot of money back, which was really bad. Especially when it was some stuff that was worth a lot. There's a lot of stories about that. I cannot remember the program right now, but eBay used to have a program like that. So anyway, so you can decide that you want Amazon to liquidate it. If you don't want to pay the storage fees, you want them to go through and they will run it through their liquidation process. That's one. If you do a search on Amazon and just do a search on liquidation, or you can type in liquidation pallets, you have liquidation pallets. Now, let's look at the feedback. Not always the best. There's some liquidation pallets out there in the universe. and there's not, a lot being said about them. So just putting it out there, enter at your own risk to see what's going to happen. Because again, there's not a lot of information. This one, 2.5 stars. Okay. This one's jewelry. I don't know. It's all about the mystery box. So you can go and see what's on Amazon as far as liquidations are concerned. You can do a search on liquidation or liquidation pallets. eBay. So eBay, again, you can do a search on liquidations. You'll see the liquidation pallets. They're going to give you estimates of what the cost is going to be. And then you receive it. You got to open it. You got to see what you're going to get. So again, you can go through the process and see what you can find from a liquidation pallet standpoint. See what what they've got in there. This one says it's returns, and just see what you can find. Okay. So this is one of the sites. This is B-Stock. So for buyers and for sellers. So if you want to sell your inventory on B-Stock, they are giving you some options. Learn how to sell your mobile inventory on their site and other things. If you want to buy inventory from them, again, they walk you through it. You can set up an account and you can go through the process of selling, buying inventory from them and going through and looking at the pallets that they have and what's available. The next one was Bulk, BULQ. And again, you can go through the process of creating your account, go through the sign up process, and then go and see what they've got. Now, if you go, let's see, shop by, let's see what they've got. I want to look at maybe baby toys and baby. So when I do that, I will see what the options are. I don't know what my kids are doing. I can see what the options are and see they've already got some of the price drops on some of these. This could be by default, or it could, sometimes if your IP address is new to the site, they'll like do an automatic drop. So if I came back like 15 minutes later and this option is not here, then it was probably just because I'm a new visitor. But anyway, you can go through and see what the contents are. A lot of the sites will let you kind of at least see the box that you're getting ready to buy and what they say the value is. So this one says it retails for $2,294.91, and you can get it for $431. It looks like it's all big stuff. So uninspected returns. You want to pay attention to that kind of stuff. Okay. And if you can sell the big stuff, great. If you can't sell the big stuff, then you probably want to look for stuff that's smaller, but they got 109 lots under that category. So that's just bulk. If we go to B-Stock, if I want to look at, let's go to health and beauty. So if I go to health and beauty, it's going to give me information about, click OK. Again, seeing the stocks so I can bid on what they've got. Looks like there's some hair lots. Looks like some face masks, which is the whole face. Okay. Then they've got Sally Hansen assorted insert gels. Okay. This one looks like Adidas men's refreshing fragrances, 200 pieces, and there's no bid on that. So, someone can go bid. I'm sure that there's a minimum. But again, you want to establish an account and go check it out. All right. So the next one is liquidation.com. And you will see they've got Lowe's, Amazon, Target, Wayfair, Home Depot, Hanes, Bed Bath & Beyond. So I'm curious about Bed Bath & Beyond. Okay. So liquidation.com. So when I do a search on Bed Bath & Beyond, I can go and see if the shelf pulls maybe. I can go look at the new. Let's go look at the new. Oh, they can't. Okay. So this is them breaking down some. Oh, wow. Some aloe body cream. There's 24 selling for 320, closing out in a little bit. Doesn't tell me what the value is, but you can go look that up if you can see the picture. This one was a whole bunch of Vaseline. So Vaseline lotion sells, of course, selling it for $110, 100 pieces. So that means it's $1 a bottle, less than $1, well, $1 a bottle. This one is some smart watches or something. This is disposable masks, some more wireless AirPods. This really does look like Apple. I don't know. It looks like it's probably not. Then you've got
Good night, Mama.
Good night, Nicholas. There's 15 of those. So you just go do that math. 0 bids. They got necklaces. So again, you can just come to the site and kind of look at some of this stuff. Dove antiperspirant spray. So I'm sort of interested in these kind of things. And the reason I am is because that's stuff that people have to buy all the time. You can sell those in bulk quantity and make your money back pretty quickly. So if you sold those in bundles, like you can probably make your money back pretty quickly. There's 60 of those. And then there's some deodorant. There's 60 of those. I don't know why they're selling only 60 though. Looks like there's more than 60 there. There's 30 of this one. But anyway, so you can go through the site. This is liquidation.com. You can go and separate it by retailers. Now, the great thing about that is I live in Texas, so I can drive up to liquidation.com, and we can go check it out. Okay. Then the next one is Wholesale Ninjas. So Reseller Appreciation Month, $50 off. Well, now I got to go write that down. Reseller Appreciation Month. What? Well, look, now I'm going to go negotiate with B Stock and Bulk and Liquidation and say, hey, didn't y'all know that it was Reseller Appreciation Month? Shouldn't I get $50 off? Now I'm going to go negotiate that. You guys use that to your advantage. All right. So again, you can pull up pallets. You can look up lots of inventory, see what they've got. What are they selling? It looks like they got Target pallets. They got All-Star. So again, if you've got the money to be able to buy any of these liquidation pallets, go for it. Do it if you can. These are smaller. So I do like things that are smaller. And the reason I like things that are smaller is because the shipping is more manageable when you sell it individually. Okay. And if you have been paying attention to the products that we say are recession proof, like makeup is always going to sell. Beauty care products are always going to sell in the midst of a recession. So these are decent buys, regardless of what skin tone they are for, as long as they haven't expired or caked up, they're good. Okay. And so that's Liquidation Ninjas, and take advantage of the $50 off for Reseller Appreciation Month. And then, oh, that's not Liquidation Direct. I clearly didn't bring up the right one. Liquidation Direct. That's Liquidation. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Direct Liquidation. I said it backwards. So Direct Liquidation instead of Liquidation Direct. Backwards. So again, if you're a seller, you want to sell your stuff, they're walking you through what you need to do. If you're a buyer, you can buy a truckload. You can buy, inventory in certain conditions. So if I go over to toys and I want to buy action figures, board games, dolls, pretend dress up, ride on toy, stuffed animals, vehicles and trains, water guns. So I could, we know that like train sets sell during Q4. I can go and look at that. So this looks like it's Walmart returns and or clearance. And there's some drone action happening here. And you can look at the prices. And here's the MSRP for these things. And it tells you how many pieces. Okay. So I hope that you use this to your advantage. I hope that you use this. Maybe it's not something you want to do this Q4. Maybe it's next Q4. But this is great information for you to use so you can make some decisions on what to buy. Like I said before, our goal is to get out into the community and be able to take a group. I've already gone to a couple of liquidation places here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So my goal is to make that happen at least in October. We were supposed to do it in August, but my plate was way too full in August. Back to school, my mom, and everything else that was happening in August. So I'm going to try to get out to a liquidation place. They may or may not let us come, only because that's probably an extremely busy time of the year for them. But we'll see what happens, and also get out to the Amazon returns warehouse. Those are the two things I wanted to do this year and take people out. So if we're not able to go as a group, I may go on my own and record it so you can see it, because we've already done it before. So with that, I hope this information is helpful. This is your opportunity. If you have questions, if there are things that you want answers to, you can type your questions in the comments section so I can help you, whatever those questions are, or Renata or any of the other leaders can help you. So type your questions in the comments section and let us help you. And with that, we are going to say good night for now. Bye, y'all.